I'm Ty McClung, and coming up on WVU News, I'll take you inside the West Virginia legislature and update you on legislation that it's making its way through the process.
Coming up on WVU News, I'll tell you how the campus carry law is affecting colleges and universities in the state of West Virginia.
Russia invaded Ukraine 2 years ago this February. I'm Claudia DeLima, and I'll tell you about what the Morgantown community is doing to support Ukraine. Our Emmy Award-winning WVU News starts now.
A bill proposed during this year's legislative session looks to bring the death penalty back to West Virginia. I'm Catherine Brook.
And I'm Claudia DeLima. It's been 2 years since Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, the WVU community is rallying around its Ukrainian students.
These stories and more coming up on WVU News, an Emmy award-winning newscast produced by television journalism students right here at West Virginia University.
The Campus SelfDefense Act will take effect on July 1st. This will allow any person to carry a concealed licensed weapon on WVU's campus.
And Claudia, now students and staff are preparing for this change to their safety and well-being. Drew Solt reports.
Campus Self-Defense Act allows a person with a current or valid license to carry a concealed pistol or revolver on the grounds of an institution of higher education. WVU Dean of Students Corey Ferris has been working for more than a year to prepare for this change.
But we've been reaching out to our colleagues at some other in some other states, in Colorado, universities in Colorado and in Kansas, where this legislation, similar type of legislation, has been in effect for a while to try to get some of their best practices.
The law has several exceptions. Guns will not be allowed on campus in places with more than 1,000 people, laboratories with hazardous materials, and child care centers. West Virginia will be the 11th state to implement the Campus Self-Defense Act. Concealed weapons will be allowed in the classroom and in common spaces and residence halls like this one. Some students think the new law can make campus a safer place.
I mean, a lot of people like conceal and carry, and it's a law here in the United States, so I mean, why not bring it to school and make your school a safer place?
Other students say they're worried about their personal safety in a place that allows guns.
I feel like we already have a large downtown population that meshes with the public, and I just don't feel it would be a smart idea to have that with guns in the mix as well.
Professors also have to adapt to the new law. Guns are not permitted in professors' offices, but they are allowed in the classroom.
As always, I'm most concerned about the safety and well-being of my students, and so I'm less concerned about how I'm going to react and more concerned about how other students might react.
The Campus Self-Defense Act goes into effect July 1st. Drew Solt, WVU News, Morgantown.
WVU President Gordon Gee released a statement on March 1st after Governor Jim Justice signed the bill into law.
University administrators plan to create a campus safety group to make recommendations about campus safety initiatives before campus carry is permitted. In 2022, there were around 1.2 million violent crimes reported. Of those violent crimes, 85% were committed with a firearm.
That's right, Claudia. Hannah High School joins us now in the studio to discuss a controversial topic when it comes to sentencing these criminals. Hannah?
Thanks, Catherine. Claudia, should the death penalty be reinstated in West Virginia? Area residents are divided on this highly debated issue. West Virginia abolished the death penalty in 1965, and motions to reinstate the death penalty have appeared in the West Virginia legislature almost every year since, but attempts have been unsuccessful. I took a closer look at what happened to Bill 473 in this year's legislative journey.
The death penalty has been a controversial subject amongst many West Virginians for years.
We tend to be a reactionary society here in the United States. And so if something happens that would bring about, enough public reaction to desire to have capital punishment, then it's possible.
Execution protocols vary state by state, using methods such as electrocution, lethal injection, and in Alabama's most recent execution, nitrogen hypoxia. An estimated 2,400. That's how many inmates are currently on death row. But if capital punishment makes its way back to the Mountain State, there could be even more. But many states cannot source these medications due to their suppliers withholding.
Many of the manufacturers of the medications have actually prohibited their medications from being utilized in lethal injection. And then you also have your pharmacy organizations that have taken stances against those.
According to this study done by the Pew Research Center, Americans have very different feelings towards the death penalty, with 60% of adults being in favor and 39% opposing. Morgantown residents are divided into these two sides.
So I'm against the death penalty because I believe we don't have the duty to take another man's life.
I am for it because no state should be paying to have people live in prisons, and even more if they're like violent criminals who are actually up for like the death penalty. We shouldn't be using our tax money to just get them living on years for years in prison.
The bill was proposed by Senator Mike Stewart in the 2024 legislative session, and he believes it should apply to cases in which law enforcement and first responders are killed.
Yeah.
This bill did not pass in this year's legislative session. According to officials, Bill 473 was introduced following the aftermath of recent police deaths in West Virginia. Governor Jim Justice stated that he was 1,000% supportive of the death penalty bill.
Thanks, Hannah. Over 19% of all students in West Virginia were sent to the principal's office to be disciplined last year.
But two new bills proposed by the state legislature aim to fix these problems on the elementary school level. Our legislative reporter Ty McClung joins us live in the studio to explain. Ty?
Thanks, Catherine. Claudia, House Bill 4776 was meant to reduce the number of disruptions in elementary school classrooms throughout the state. The bill would have allowed teachers to remove disruptive students from classrooms and place them in an alternative education setting for the day or longer. In 2022, members of the West Virginia legislature passed a bill allowing teachers to remove disruptive students from their high school classrooms. And Delegate Marty Gearhart says now elementary school teachers need help. That's why he's sponsoring House Bill 4776.
This is to benefit teachers. It gives them the opportunity to do what they're being paid to do and what they want to do, and that's provide instruction. And they can't do that when they have a disruptive child that's keeping them from providing that education that balances the student population.
In a national survey, 58% of teachers say their instruction time was interrupted by a disciplinary issue in 2022. And half of those teachers say they spend more than 1 hour of their workday dealing with behavior issues. House Speaker Roger Hanshaw has two elementary-age daughters who say they tell him about these issues in their own classrooms.
It's real. If anyone thinks these are abstract, esoteric concepts, they're not. And you can pick up on that very quickly from a conversation with a 6-year-old.
Bills in both the House and Senate attempt to address these issues. They allow elementary school educators to remove students from their classroom for a day or find an alternative school for them to attend. But educators have some concerns. Federal data shows that black children in West Virginia schools have been suspended at 2 times the rate of their white classmates over the last 2 decades. Students who are economically challenged are disproportionately affected as well. Economically challenged students make up 60% of all school suspensions in West Virginia. That's why education union leaders say the bills are targeting the wrong issues.
It's not the solution that's needed, because simply removing them from the classroom without having a place to go and working on these behaviors is not the answer. You have to work on the behaviors.
Lee says he'd like to see lawmakers provide more support for parents and students to get to the heart of why a child might act out. Both chambers of the legislature passed versions of this much-debated school discipline bill, but time ran out before House members could agree on amendments made in the Senate. So it did not pass this legislative session.
Thanks, Ty. In the 737 days since the war in Ukraine began, West Virginia University has responded to help those in need. Recently, the Ukrainian Mountaineers Association and the Ukrainian community of Morgantown hosted events to recognize the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war. I attended the Rally for Ukraine.
On February 24th, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the largest aggression on a European country since World War II. Some people, like Ukrainian WVU student Mark Voidiani, feel the dire effects of the war here in West Virginia.
It's devastating. It's really devastating because, it's not only about me, my family, it's about the whole country. Because each family in Ukraine they feel the impact, you know. And every day there is somebody dying.
Voidiani is a member of the Ukrainian Mountaineers Association. He and other Ukrainian students are facing incredible uncertainty. Many cannot travel back home and lack funding from their families. Officials say that students are cut off financially, as many banks in Ukraine are not functioning. The Ukrainian Global Congress created this interactive map to commemorate the second anniversary of the Russian invasion. Over 150 Ukrainian cities have already registered peaceful rallies on the map, just like this one. Ukrainian activists hope the world comes together to remind everyone of the ongoing war. Eric Heron, a WVU political science professor, says the war has serious long-term implications.
I think the fear, and it's a real fear, is if the war does not go well, Putin will not stop, and at some point it may involve American troops and American lives. And helping Ukraine now really helps protect Americans.
With 3.6 million people displaced and 6.3 million others seeking refuge abroad, Ukraine has struggled throughout this conflict. And Voidiani says the U.S.'s support of Ukraine is vital.
We really appreciate the U.S. aid to Ukraine. It means a lot, you know, and we want this war to be over.
This rally closed out a full week of events organized to raise money and awareness for the Ukrainian community.
Coming up, Broadway has made its way to Morgantown. See how Shakespeare's legacy has been preserved.
That story and more after the break.
Eating disorder cases in the U.S. are on the rise. Straight ahead on WVU News, I'm Janvi Patel, and I'll tell you why female athletes are more at risk of developing one.
Coming up on WVU News, a new law took effect in West Virginia that changes motor vehicle inspections from 1 to 2 years. I'm Catherine Brook, and I'll tell you why.
Quiet and ready in control room. 3, 2, 1. Fade in bumper.
WVU News is local, in-depth, and always on the move for you. And it's always on YouTube, on the web, and on the Reed College of Media website. A national first-place Emmy Award-winning college newscast, taped at the Waterfront Studio at West Virginia University. Stay in the know, stay connected, watch WVU News.
Mountaineers know. Let's go! Really means let's try. Let's create. Let's explore. And let's do it all together.
Claudia, Eating Disorder Awareness Week took place from February 26th to March 3rd. This week highlights the seriousness of eating disorders across the states.
And Catherine, the death rate among people with anorexia nervosa is the highest of all mental illnesses and affects up to 3% of young women.
Our medical and health reporter Janvi Patel joins us now to tell us more. Janvi?
Thanks, Catherine. Claudia. Around 30 million Americans struggle with an eating disorder at some point in their lives, and up to 45% of female athletes have some type of eating disorder. I spoke with a former figure skater to discuss her journey with her body image.
Competed in her first Grand Prix event, Hannah Miller.
Hannah Miller is a former elite competitive figure skater. She competed on Team USA, earning a total of 7 international medals during her career.
There was something about being on the ice, something about all that hard work, all that dedication that my personality just thrived within.
Figure skaters are stereotypically thin with long features, and Miller says she was a power skater with a more muscular build, which led to her developing disordered eating and body image issues.
I was in this world of like, I need to micromanage what I'm intaking. I need to step on a scale every day. I need to work out a certain amount so that I'm burning a certain amount of calories.
Eating disorder symptoms in athletes include weight loss, anxiety, and changes in mood and behavior. Female athletes with an eating disorder are at risk of developing relative energy deficiency in sports, which occurs when an athlete doesn't consume enough calories.
to keep up with their energy needs during training and exercise.
45% of female athletes struggle with an eating disorder, and the impacts tend to last even after athletes retire.
Eating disorders are the most lethal of all psychopathologies. It's extremely concerning because of the toll that it takes on you psychologically and physically and socially, and it interferes with your life functioning.
Miller says her family and sports psychologists noticed changes in her behavior when she was struggling, and their support was crucial in her recovery.
It wasn't until I was out of sport till I was able to heal fully. And the decision to retire from sport was a decision, again, of me choosing my well-being.
Driven by personal experience, Miller is now a PhD student at WVU in sport exercise and performance psychology.
Super step sequence. Love the
Although female athletes are more likely to develop an eating disorder, women are considered to be the population most impacted by eating disorders. Experts say the average age for developing an eating disorder among women is only 16 years old.
Thanks, John V. A new law took effect in West Virginia at the beginning of this year, extending motor vehicle inspections from 1 to 2 years. But in the future, these inspections may be no longer required. If this happens, what would this mean for the drivers across the Mountain State? Jeffrey Tennell lives in Morgantown and brings his car to High School Automotive for yearly inspections, something required by state law.
I lived in California for a long time, so you'll see all kinds of cars, and there's smog inspection, but there's not a safety inspection they do with the cars, so you can see a lot of interesting cars on the roads. The West Virginia Division of Motor Vehicles reports that in 2023, nearly 2 million vehicles, trucks, and motorcycles were registered in the state. According to state law, every car, truck, and trailer registered in West Virginia still need to undergo inspection once every 2 years. Luckily, official inspection stations, like this one, are located across the state to help with your vehicle's needs. The money West Virginia makes from inspections helps fund the state police. That means in 2021, $4 million was added to the public safety budget. Mechanic Skip High School worries that nixing inspections completely could put people at risk while driving.
Driving your car, you may not even realize, or you may feel a little something, but not think anything of it. And it can happen catastrophically quickly. If something breaks at 70 miles an hour on the interstate, you're in trouble.
Tennell agrees with high school. He's also concerned about the safety of individuals and their vehicles on the road.
My question would be, they were put in place for a reason, safety of the cars on the road, making sure lots of times people want to take care of their cars or whatnot. So there's that bit of, okay, your time and the hassle, but is the safety element something that you're willing to give up? There are 12 other states that do not require annual vehicle inspections. This year, the state legislature shot down Bill 4221. If that bill had passed, it would have removed the state code that requires vehicle safety inspections.
That's right, Catherine. The Kennedy Creative Arts Center is back with their first show of the semester. The Book of Will is a powerful play focusing on the plays of William Shakespeare.
Our lifestyle reporter, Sterling Gibson, joins us from Studio B at the Media Innovation Center to tell us more. Sterling?
Thanks, Catherine. Claudia. William Shakespeare died in 1616, and when his friends saw a botched production of one of his plays, they realized his legacy may be gone forever. The Book of Will follows this group of unexpected heroes as they work to collect and compile Shakespeare's plays into a printed edition. I had the opportunity to go behind the scenes of WVU's rendition of this unforgettable true story on stage. When you're gone, who is left to pass on your story? This question has been asked since the beginning of time and is the main theme that the Book of Will heavily explores. Actor Nate Saito talks about his experience with the show and how it impacts the community as a whole.
This play for the theater community is not only like a celebration of like Shakespeare itself, but a celebration of theater and why we do it.
Shakespeare is often known for his love sonnets, dramatic tragedies, and for creating up different phrases on the spot. His plays have introduced about 3,000 words to the English language and have given us common names that we see today, like Jessica. Shakespeare is one of the most famous writers of all time. And when he passed, his friends came together to create a folio, just like this one, of all the work he's ever done. To this day, Shakespeare is still the third most translated author in the entire world. The Book of Will is both funny and heartfelt, letting the audience feel many different emotions throughout the course of the show.
Something that I have taken away is just how important putting in effort to things are and how important keeping a legacy going is.
The creative arts students are not the only ones performing the Book of Will. Theater programs and acting troupes have been doing the show since 2017, even more so as the play has gained popularity in recent years. The WVU School of Theater and Dance produces 5 to 7 major productions in the College of Creative Arts each year. The next production will be Cinderella, showing in the Lyle B. Clay Concert Theater from April 18th through the 21st. Catherine, Claudia, back to you in the Waterfront studio.
Thanks, Sterling. March is Women's History Month, and WVU has 2 women's sports teams that are celebrating historic milestones.
We'll be joined by our sports team to tell us more after the break.
I'm Tanner Inyard, and West Virginia women's basketball is celebrating their 50th season of competition this year, and they're having a lot of success on and off the court.
I'm Terrell Thompson, and WVU women's tennis is breaking records in their 50th season as well. We'll have those stories for you coming up next.
Mom, I got in.
Quiet and ready in control room. 3, 2, 1. Fade in bumper.
WVU News is local, in-depth, and always on the move for you. And it's always on YouTube, on the web, and on the Reed College of Media website. A national first-place Emmy Award-winning college newscast, taped at the Waterfront studio at West Virginia University. Stay in the know, stay connected, watch WVU News.
WVU women's basketball has spent most of their season ranked, and Coach Mark Kellogg's team has already secured a spot in the NCAA tournament.
But they are not the only women's sports team that's riding a high right now, Claudia. Our sports anchor Tanner Enyart is joined by sports reporter Terrell Thompson with team coverage to tell us more. Tanner, Terrell?
Thanks, Catherine and Claudia. Terrell, as you know, West Virginia University has a long history of basketball tradition, and this year marks the 50th season of West Virginia women's basketball.
And Tanner, the Mountaineers have accomplished a lot over the past 50 years, winning multiple conference championships and 10 WNBA draft picks. And none of that could have been done without superior coaching.
That's right, and it all began with the legendary head coach, Kitty Blakemore. West Virginia women's basketball was established in 1973, and Kitty Blakemore was selected as the head coach. In an interview from 2011 with WVU Athletics, she talked about how hard it was to get the program started.
There was no question about who the coaches were going to be. We were physical education teachers, and that was one reason we got the jobs, because they didn't have to pay us separately. We were already being paid by the School of Physical Education.
There were many problems in the first season, including no uniforms until the end of the year. But despite these and other issues, Coach Kitty persevered, and on February 24th, she was honored for her dedication. As part of the 50-year celebration of women's basketball here at West Virginia University, the school recently announced the newly renamed Kitty Blakemore Drive here on the Evansdale side of campus to honor the program's first head coach. And Coach Kitty said that she always wanted to be a coach here at WVU.
It had been a dream of mine for a long time to be a coach and to work at West Virginia University.
Coach Kitty was the head coach from 1973 to 1992. And since 1992, WVU has had 6 head coaches: Scott Harrelson, Susan Walvius, Alexis Basil, Mike Carey, Don Plitzwhite, and Mark Kellogg, who is the current head coach.
I'm proud of where we're at right now. I think honestly, if you would have given me 23-6 and 12-6 before the year started, I would have taken you up on that one.
Since Coach Kitty was at the helm, West Virginia has become a program of national relevance.
The WVU women's basketball team is not the only one with something to celebrate, though, Terrell.
That's right, Tanner. WVU women's tennis is having an historic season and an anniversary year, and their coach says they will try to continue their streak of success to finish off the season strong. WVU women's tennis team has started their season with a 11-3 record and have had their best start to a season since 1986. WVU women's tennis head coach Miha Liza has established a complete roster that features players from 9 different countries.
I think it's great. I think it's a result of a lot of work that the players have put in. You know, we've started with the group that we have in place about 3 years ago now, and they've come a long way.
The Mountaineers women's tennis team is entering Big 12 competition this week, and as competition strengthens, they will try to carry on their continued success.
It's been really exciting to see, especially for me, not being able to play and actually be physically on the court, but being there, experiencing this success so far.
The WVU women's tennis team is celebrating their 50-year anniversary this year, and they have been serving down teams one by one to start this season. The Mountaineers are led by Momoko Nagato, and she has started this season with a 11-2 record in singles play and has completely dominated all season. Momoko looks to carry that on as she faces a rigid schedule down the stretch in the Big 12.
For me, it's kind of tough because every week we'll play against a really, really good team.
WVU women's tennis will look to continue their amazing run this year and celebrate this historic season during senior week at the end of this season. The Mountaineers will finish out their regular season play in mid-April and compete in the Big 12 Championship in Stillwater, Oklahoma, the week of April 17th.
And Terrell, we cannot wait to see how they finish out their season. Catherine and Claudia, back to you.
Thanks, Tanner. Terrell. That's it for this week's edition of WVU News. I'm Claudia DeLima.
And I'm Catherine Baruch. You can visit us online on our website. You can also watch our shows on YouTube and statewide on West Virginia Public Broadcasting on Sundays at 6:30 p.m.
We also stream on HD Media's website. You can also find us streaming on KDKA TV's website. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.